and let us all do we can to build a better future.
Bernie Sanders. We're talking about Bernie Sanders. Good old Bernie. What is this hack fraud going to say now this time? Apparently, he's on MSDNC, or should I say M money sign DNC, discussing what the Democrats can do to win the midterms. Will he run in 2024? My God, you cuck. You miserable cuck. God, there's a point I used to respect this man. Like, he'll probably drop out the first month, be like, I'm too tired. It's too hard. I'm too tired. I'm too old. Get my hand sandwich. There we go. Anyways, shout out again to Case Study QB. He's wrongly being censored on Twitter. Be sure to support his YouTube channel and Odyssey page as well. He's doing phenomenal work. But let's hear what Bernie Sanders has to say in regards to what the Democrats can do to potentially win the midterms. Hang on, folks. Your brain will melt.
Candidate, and he joins me now. Thank you so much for coming on the show. Senator President Biden has a pretty amazing, unprecedented record on job creation. Gas prices are ticking up after a 99-day fall because of OPEC, Saudi Arabia, Ukraine, not because of him. So what are Democrats supposed to do to win people over on the economy? Republicans have the lead on this issue. It might be unfair.
That's right.
Is there anything Democrats can do to change that?
Well, it's not a question of being unfair. It's totally absurd. You have a Republican Party who on every single issue impacting working families is on the wrong side. And yet what polls show is that people think that Republicans are going to do a better job for them than Democrats. So what we have got to do is, A, of course, deal with the abortion issue. What the Supreme Court did is totally outrageous. Of course, we have to go after Republicans who are trying to undermine our democracy that people fought and died to preserve. But what we have got to do is take the attack to Republicans on the economy. Don't be on.
Okay, now here's the thing, Bernie, right? Here's the thing. And I just wanted to make sure that we all heard his audio in properly. But number one, the Democratic establishment has been all on board with hurting American workers. Let's talk about your good friends, Kristen Sinema and good old Joe Manchin, who were against the minimum wage increase, where Sinema did her infamous curtsy, thumbs down, and then gave her colleagues in the Democratic and Republican Senate House cake, like the typical hack fraud that she is. Let's talk about Joe Manchin, who's been against workers' rights. Let's talk about how Joe Biden has a clear history and voting record of proudly prostituting himself to corporations and screwing over workers. Let's talk about other members of the Democratic Party who've had a clear history in screwing over workers, like the Republican Party has. So there isn't a big difference between the DNC and RNC. It's just maybe the Democrats are really good at putting on this mask, pretending that they care. And then, of course, you have Republican lawmakers who just don't give a damn. So, in other words, Bernie, yeah, it's easy to go after the GOP. I know what to expect from Republican lawmakers. Hell, I'm on board with that. But at the same time, too, what about your own party? Your own party that screwed you over not once but twice. Your own political party that did that to you. Anyways, but he's probably not going to do anything because he's a cock.
On the defensive. You got 60% of the people in this country who are living paycheck to paycheck. Millions are working for starvation wages. I introduced legislation for a $15 an hour minimum wage. I got 0 Republicans. We're the only major country on earth not to have paid family and medical leave. We need at least 12 weeks. 0 Republicans support that. Only major country not to have universal health care. No Republicans support that. At a time of massive income and wealth inequality, the American people want billionaires to start paying their fair share of taxes. No Republicans support that. So what I am saying is you got to go on the offensive. These people are phonies. They are corporate, working for corporations. We have got to take the fight to them.
Okay, but take that fight to the Democratic Party, too, because you have, again, Democratic lawmakers that are doing the exact same thing. Some of them are even worse.
And Senator, I think a lot of people watching at home will nod their heads with you and say, go on the offensive against the Republicans who are the party of the tax dodgers and the billionaires. But you also write in your Guardian piece, and I quote, I am alarmed to hear the advice that many Democratic candidates are getting from establishment consultants that the closing argument of Democrats should focus only on abortion. Your critic, Senator, would say that your argument is a straw man, that no Democrat is actually running only on abortion or assuming that they can win only focusing on abortion. What is your response to them?
Well, of course, and if you read the article, that makes that clear. But all that I'm saying is when the American people in poll after poll think that the economy, think that inflation are the two major issues, you cannot ignore those issues. And in fact, not only should we not ignore those issues, we should make it clear to working families throughout this country, many of whom who are prepared to vote Republican, that if they vote Republican, they're voting for a party which is on every single major issue economically is against their interests. That's the fight that we have to make. And let me...
All right, let's be clear here, though. Roe v. Wade did die under the Biden-Harris administration, a Democratic administration, and they had about a month and a half to actually try and do something. But there I say it, even before the Supreme Court memo was released saying that they would overturn Roe v. Wade, the Democrats have had decades to codify Roe v. Wade and women's reproductive rights. So there really isn't an excuse, especially when the Democrats did have a supermajority. But what was their excuse? Oh, we got some conservative blue dog Democrats. Oh, we got some Democrats that don't play ball. They somehow can't do party unity. They can't somehow get things together. They can't take the initiative. I mean, you have people like Dianne Feinstein and Nancy Pelosi, who are women who could have done something. But guess what? They didn't, because they didn't care. They don't like their voters or constituents, and they don't respect their voters and constituents. Simple as that.
Let me repeat again. I think that Supreme Court decision on abortion is a total outrage. This is an issue we must continue to stay focused on. The overwhelming majority of the American people understand that it is a woman who has the right to control her body, not state government. So I'm not suggesting we don't focus on that issue, but I'm suggesting get on the offensive on economics as well.
So, as you say, abortion, big issue. Economy, big issue. Let me ask you this. What about preserving?
Now, if Bernie Sanders does choose to run in 2024, how much you want to bet that this clip will be taken out of context? And, of course, you have some vote blue, jagoff MFers who will be saying, oh, Bernie's against women's reproductive rights and being misogynistic. No, I get what Bernie's trying to say here. But, if he does potentially throw his hat in the ring for 2024, this clip, mark my words, will be used against him. That article that he wrote will be used against him, but he's saying there's a bigger picture, right? But the thing is, Bernie, your problem is that you have hope and faith that the Democratic Party will do the right thing and that voters will turn out for a political party that's effectively abandoned us.
Preserving democracy, shouldn't that be the biggest issue that all of you run on against a fascistic, anti-democratic Republican Party?
Well, it is obviously. I mean, you have a right-wing party now, tragically. We're not debating health.
Let's be clear here. We have a single party that is center right, extreme right on economic and social issues. They're both the same. The only difference is that Democrats put on this neoliberal mask with a smiley face saying that they care about you when they don't. That's the big difference.
Healthcare. We're not debating climate change. I mean, the major issue in many ways is whether or not we preserve American democracy. Unbelievable, but that is where we are right now. So, of course, that has got to be an issue.
Cactus Man, that's brutal. Bernie's like Jen Psaki now. That is funny. Damn, that is funny. And Frederick Murphy says it doesn't matter. Bernie doesn't exist anymore. There you go. Hold on. Eleanor says, don't forget the Parliamentarian kit. The Democrats got stopped by the all-powerful Parliamentarian. For those of you who don't know what the Senate Parliamentarian is, the Senate Parliamentarian is a non-elected official that's like a glorified secretary. The vice president and president can overturn any opinions by the Senate Parliamentarian. Senate Parliamentarian doesn't really have a lot of power. The last Senate Parliamentarian that tried to pull their weight around and try and, make sure their voice was heard was fired, and that was under George Bush Jr.'s administration. It probably wasn't good old Georgie Boy that did it. It was Cheney. Georgie Boy was playing with the blocks and painting pictures because, he's the village idiot, but that's a fact. That's a fact. Hold on. This audience is so brutal. How did my audience get so brutal? Why are you so brutal? Fred Edwards says Democrats are against workers' interests too, Bernard. And of course, Sebastiano says, donate all your money to the Democrats today. Let's see. And it says Stumped L says, there's a lever. It turns the trolley blue or red. So which way do you pull the lever, red or blue? No, you break the lever. And Eleanor says, keep talking, Bernie. That's all you do. That's all you do. And people are giving the sheep signal for Bernie. And Extra Bullet says, come on, sheep, get back in your pen. And let's see. Stumped L says the parliamentarian was not elected by the people. The power comes from the people. Truth. Everyone speaking truth. And so John Kemper says brutal is what these politicians are doing to us. And Kenneth Locke says St. Bernard is a great establishment lapdog. And Sylvia Ross says bah.
But when you're talking about what you do in the last month, you're asking yourself, how do I win the damn election? What are the issues that are getting me votes? How do I get votes away from Republicans?
How do you win? You win by winning. Simple. Quoting my colleague Daniel Lupker, you win by winning by actually following through his campaign promises. I don't know. Biden, through a stroke of a pen, through executive order, can legalize cannabis at a national level, pardon student debt, and also make Medicare for all happen. I mean, that would be a big win through executive order. He doesn't even need the Senate and House. How about, I don't know, maybe this might be a little bit controversial. Maybe fighting for term limits, getting money out of politics. Maybe you, Bernie, having the backbone, calling out Nancy Pelosi and everyone in the Senate and House for doing insider trading. Just actually, rally the people, show up. Why don't you show up on independent media? You were able to use that to make your presence even larger in 2016 and in 2020. Hey, Bernie, when are you going to show up back on the Jimmy Dore show? You ever going to do that again, Bernard? Probably not. Good old Bernie probably won't do that. He probably won't show up on the Jimmy Dore show. Won't do that, but was more than happy to do it back in 2016. Anyways.
Into progressive Democrats, into Democrats. And that's kind of what I'm focusing on right now.
Senator, last night was the Ohio Senate debate where Congressman Tim Ryan had this to say about President Joe Biden. Have a listen.
Do you want President Biden to run again in 2024?
No, I've been very clear. I'd like to see a generational change. Mitch McConnell, Donald Trump, the president, everybody.
Now, hold on. Bad Cookie says, you guys are being rude to Bernie. He's all we have in the Democratic Party. We have to vote harder. DNC, I would like a check. Send me cash. Vote harder, poor people. Why aren't you poor people voting harder? Why aren't you showing up to the polls? Hey, audience, multiple choice answer on this one. There's no such thing as a wrong answer. Why aren't you showing up to vote? Type in the comment section below. What's wrong with you? Vote harder, poor people.
Tim Ryan, very clear there in his view. Are you going to run again in 2024, considering you're a year older than Joe Biden?
I don't think
you recently said you haven't ruled it out.
I don't think the American people are staying up nights worrying whether I'm going to run or not. What they are worried about is whether they're going to have health care, whether they're going to be able to send their kids to college.
Yeah. We don't have Medicare for all because Biden doesn't believe in it. Going to college here in America, bad idea. Go overseas or go to a community college or go to a trade school. Okay, come on, Bernie. Come on. Bernie, you're old enough to know better.
Whether we're going to deal with climate change. Let's focus on the issues of importance to the American people. Let's get out there. Let's knock on doors. Let's make the phone calls. Let's raise the money. Let us make sure the Democrats continue to control the House and the Senate.
But you're not ruling it out.
Right now, my focus is...
I'll be so upset and annoyed if he actually chooses to run again for many reasons, because not once but twice we saw the DNC commit election fraud. And in 2020, I actually had the audacity of hope, thinking that maybe his campaign would be ready to fight all the election integrity issues that hit his campaign in 2016. I actually held on to that hope. I was wrong, and I apologize for it.
On doing everything that I can, and I'll be going around the country to make sure that Democratic House members win and Democratic senators win. That should be the focus of everybody right now.
Okay, so one of the big issues is gas prices. Saudi Arabia is being blamed for the rise in prices at the pump. White House officials said today that the president is reevaluating the U.S. relationship with Saudi Arabia. You've been very critical of that relationship. Would you support tougher action against the Saudis, pulling American troops out of the country, ending arms deals? How far would you go?
You got it. Keep going. Look, you have a monarchy, treats women as third-class citizens, torture people. They killed Khashoggi, dismembered his body.
Hey, you're going to talk about that other journalist that's fighting for his life somewhere in the European hemisphere on an island that's kind of great, you know, or about another whistleblower that's somewhere snowed in Asia, in a particular country, you know. I mean, you ever going to talk about those two, Bernard? I mean, yeah, you bring up some good points, but at the end of the day, your political party is all in bed with big oil.
And now they are siding with Putin in the war in Ukraine.
Has to always bring it back up to Pooty Poot, right?
And are forcing Americans, people all over the world, to pay higher gas prices. So, you know, this is a regime, to tell you the truth, I have never been fond of, and I think the president is moving in the right direction.
Senator Bernie Sanders, we will have to leave it there. Thank you so much.
All right, and that's enough from sheepdog Bernie Sanders. There's a time I used to respect him, but he was reading off his talking points. I want to give a shout to John Kemper because he just said in the live stream chat, they must be memorizing these BS talking points, which they are. They are. These politicians are professional liars. They're good at lying to people. They're very good at lying to people for a long time too. For a long time. So you can't trust these politicians to do the right thing. They're incapable of really telling the truth. And never forget that in 2016, Bernie turned a blind eye to election fraud to his campaign during the primary against Hillary Clinton. Bernie Sanders turned a blind eye to the 2020 election fraud to his campaign against Joe Biden. And I'll never forget my time in Philadelphia when I was at the Wells Fargo Center in 2016, where I saw Bernie Sanders supporters and delegates and volunteers being pushed around, assaulted by Clinton supporters. Yet there was Bernie saying, oh, we got to go ahead and line ourselves up behind Hillary Clinton. I respect the words that he has said. And look, to be clear here, he inspired me and Daniel to create Hard Lens Media. But we need people who will not be puppets and getting people to herd into the Democratic Party. You got to break away from the two-party system. There's nothing the Democratic Party can do. And Bernie Sanders, while he was something of a force in 2016, who he was then is not who he is now. And some would argue he's never been that person in 2016, just put on a very good show, in which I have to say, job well done, Bernie. But I'm not listening anymore.